have Isaiah Washington here. It's very good to see you. The last time I saw you, you were promoting the Phil the Under Shepherd, so it's good to see you.
Well, thank you very much, Jasmine. I appreciate that.
Okay, so let's hop right in with Blue Caprice. I lived in D.C. at the time, so I remember some of the parts that happened live. Do you remember watching and following the story when it was happening?
I do remember following the story, and then so toxic at the time that I just stepped away from it. You know, at that time I had my firstborn, who was about I think like 3 years old, and I was busy being, you know, at home dad. And I remember turning it on and just saying to myself, some crazy, you know, Ted Bundy-esque Caucasian man is at it again, terrorizing people like the Zodiac Killer and all these. That's what I was thinking.
Right.
So I was like, I just can't take this. It's demoralizing. I have to move on with my life. And I was babysitting or homesitting my neighbor's apartment, and went down to get their mail weeks later, or what seemed like weeks later, or a week later, or 23 days later. And I saw this African-American man on the cover of Newsweek. And then I opened it, took the rubber band off and opened it. And to this day, my neighbors don't have that Newsweek. And when I saw what you now know is John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo with this beautiful, I think all the photographs we know, them sitting on the sofa, looking like a happy father and son, healthy relationship in some picture in some home somewhere, I was floored. I was embarrassed. I was angered because at that point it's like, oh my God, they're black.
Right.
Oh no, you know. And then, you know, I lived in a community. I think I was the only African American in this condominium in this building. So I'm thinking, now I need to hide this magazine that they all know. So how am I going to live here? I mean, is everyone going to look at me and ask me, "You're black? Do you know him?" That kind of thing.
Right.
And you know, it's just hyper reactive when one of our own gets in trouble or does something crazy, and we just can't help but do it. It's just part of our community. We just go, "Oh my God." And once I got over that, I just had a myriad of emotions and was just feeling, you know, really sad for the victims, and just remember feeling really, really bad.
When you saw the script, what did you initially think as, I guess, producer and as an actor?
When I first was reached out by the producers, Ison Robbins, on my Facebook, I told them straight out, you know, if it's a biopic, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in portraying, you know, John Allen Muhammad. I'm not interested in going back through his childhood, his military career, his you know, I'm not interested in doing, you know, the Jackie Robinson story of a serial killer or a spree killer. And then I didn't read the script. They just told me what the film they wanted to make. And they said they wanted this to be an indictment on violence in America.
Okay.
They wanted this to spurn conversations about guns in America. Mm-hmm. He wanted to make a film about a toxic relationship between a father and son. He wanted to make a film that was a metaphor for corrupt leadership and what happens when the leadership is corrupt. And that's the film that we made. Okay.
What you have really good chemistry with who plays your son in the film. How do you create something like that?
Well, I had known his work when he was, you know, very young in Ray. I had known of his work, although he was very quiet in Everybody Hates Chris. And when I first saw that he was cast, it was put up on Facebook, and I reached out to him on Twitter. And I just looked at him, and he's sitting over there now, and he just had all this maturity in his eyes, but he just had this face of an angel. But it was still this energy about him that was very old, spirit-wise, but still it just looked so young, and it was intoxicating. And I said, he's the guy.
Okay.
He's the guy. And I was just impressed with him. And we chatted briefly, and once we got to New York, we didn't have a script.
Okay.
Until we got to New York.
Okay.
And when we had our first read-through, I think actually September 11th, we got to New York in 2011. And after we actually read the script for the first time, we just bonded immediately because we didn't have a lot of time to get to know each other. We were thrown right into it, and we were working within 3 days. We had to be there. We already did our individual assignments that was given to us by the director. I was asked to read Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky, which I didn't finish because it was so dark I wanted to slit my wrist. And then read the actual DC Sniper's former wife, Mildred Muhammad's book, Scared Silent, which I did read, and how she survived his gaslighting and survived his manipulative behavior and how he had changed when he got back from Desert Storm he wasn't the same man, and getting clues from her on how this individual was. And then I just followed the script that was restrained as it is, not a lot of dialogue, and just trusted for the first time as an actor, just trusted my director to direct me through it and not try to move myself out of the way, my biases, my insecurities, and just do my job.
Were you able to speak to anyone that was...
Didn't need to. It wasn't a biopic. So
yeah.
I wasn't playing John Allen Muhammad. I was playing Alexander Moore's John Allen, a character inspired by those actual events. So we didn't want to go down that rabbit hole of doing a biopic or doing those investigations because it was just too toxic. It's just too toxic.
Okay. Moving on to Blackbird, how did you get involved with that project?
Tambe A. Obenson. I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, but I'll just say Tambe.
Okay.
From Shadows in Act. Was very supportive of my performance in The Under Shepherd. And I met him briefly from afar here at the Pan-African Film Festival, and I think he watched me doing a Q&A. And in his own mind decided that, I'm going to follow this guy. I'm going to follow his talent. I was a producer on The Under Shepherd as well. My first endeavor as being a producer. And this is my second endeavor as being a producer on Blue Caprice. And Blackbird is my third. And for Color Boys, which is a web series that I'm executive producing, is my fourth. And then I have two other projects that I'm working on with Troy Skinner and Matthew Cherry, his second film called Game Time Decision, which I'm also producers on. So those are my fifth in a very short amount of time of figuring out how to be a producer. Tambe reached out to me on my Facebook and said, Patrick Ian Polk is looking for you. He has a script that I think is great, a great story, and he wants to tell it with you. I didn't know who Patrick Ian Polk was. I Googled him, and I was like, oh. And all I saw was, oh, he's a very tall, beautiful, alien-looking man that is a Leo. And that's what captured me. I said, he's a Leo like me, which means he's talented. Okay. And he's chocolate like me, which means he's beautiful.
Right, of course.
And he's from the South like me. So I'm in. And that's how I felt about it. And I said, send me the script. And we talked briefly on the phone. We talked about my previous work. And, I talked about what he wanted to do, how he wanted to do it, what he really wanted to say. And I read the script. And although Janet Jackson had been given an offer, she passed. I think she's going to regret it. Sorry, Janet. Should have took this role. She passed, and I was grateful because then I said, well, who do you have? He says, we got to go. I don't have anyone. We're thinking about this other actress. And I said, wow, I know, but Monique and I share the same attorney.
Okay.
And this is when I became a producer.
Okay.
I said, I don't know, but I think how I see this, I see myself as the father. We don't have our Randy, our lead yet, which is disastrous because you don't have your lead and you got to go. I said, but I think for what you want to do with this film and you want it to be seen eventually by the community and by the world and make the impact you want to make and say what you want to say, I think we need to send this to Monique. Of course, he thought I was like, Isaiah, I really appreciate you, bro. I really, I think you're a fan, but I think you're in over your head right now.
Right.
And I knew he was thinking that. And it happened so fast, Jasmine. I was riding my bike, smoking a cigar when I was smoking cigars at the time. A week went by. I didn't hear anything from my attorney. I know I got the script. A week and 2 days went by because I'm busy working on other things, being daddy, whatever. And something said, I'm on my bike. It was hot. I stopped my bike. I got on the phone, and I said, Patrick, did Monique respond? I said, I'm not hearing anything. I'm not getting any emails. No one's CCing me. Oh, man. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. Monique is right here now. We're going to start shooting, tomorrow. We don't need you, but she's here right now. I'm like, what the... She was in Hattiesburg. Not only did she say yes,
but she was already shooting.
She was already shooting, or the day before. She was in wardrobe fitting. And I said, well, thanks for telling me.
No.
But that's just no indictment on him. It's just that's how organic and that's how passionate she felt, just like I did, that it moves just that fast. And it doesn't move like that fast in Hollywood.
Okay.
I'll tell you that right now.
So I was going to ask you, her entrance into Hollywood is through comedy. I was going to ask you, what was it like working with someone who started in comedy? Obviously, she's gone on to do.
Comedians are the best dramatic. Comedians, most comedians are the best dramatic actors on the planet. If you look at early the Stage Door with Lucille Ball, Jamie Foxx, and Ray, you can look at Richard Pryor. I mean, you could go down the line. There's something about comedians and the way they see the world and how they can take our pain and make it funny, which means that they have a way they're wired. They have to filter all of that pain. They have to observe it, understand it, and then put it in a blender in their souls and their minds, and then throw it back at us, and then make us laugh at it. So if they can do that, which is difficult to do, then it's almost like, this is nothing. It's nothing for them to just fall into the dramatic part of it, and that's why they're so good at it. And, when you see Blackbird, you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, my God.
She goes there.
And a bag of butter pecan chips.
Those must be good.
The reason why I wanted to get it at the Pan African Film Festival when the Sundance denied us, which does well, and they wanted to screen it there, is that it's a few days before the Oscars. So whatever spies the Academy sends, and whatever spies the distributors and the majors of Paramount, 20th Century, if they dare to come out and peep it, they all going to be like, oh my buttercon pecan
chips.
Bag of chips. She did it again. And I dare anyone to dispute me when you see her work in this film. She kills it. And the newcomer, Julian Walker, you're going to love him, how brave he is.
Okay.
Unbelievably brave. There's no film like this out there.